Hi, I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that Enemy, even though it's one of my favorite movies, is no perfect movie. So in Enemy, a history teacher named Adam, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, is given a movie as a recommendation by a coworker, and during the movie he spots an actor named Anthony, who is also played by Gyllenhaal, and happens to look and sound just like him. And once the two of them meet, they find that even though they look alike, they have polar opposite personalities, and they become more involved in each other's lives as a result. Now, Enemy has a lot of things that set it apart from traditional films. For one, the story is told mostly through visuals instead of dialogue, and many of these visuals are meant to be symbolic, up to interpretation, and not meant to be taken literally. A lot of the story is meant to raise more questions instead of answers so that the audience can come up with the answers for themselves. And the movie only has 4 principal actors, one of which, Jake Gyllenhaal obviously, is given like 90% of the movie to be told from his perspective. And all these things that I just mentioned are pretty much what I think makes Enemy such a fascinating movie. Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favorite actors working today, and in this movie he is fantastic at convincingly delivering 2 very contrasting performances. Because as Adam, the history teacher, he's very timid. His life is very repetitive in a bad way, which is shown very well when he's giving a lecture on how history, particularly dictatorships, repeat themselves. And the scene cuts back and forth between his very dull life with his girlfriend, played by Melanie Laurent, and there is little to no intimacy in that relationship. And Anthony, on the other hand, is much more impulsive, which shows in just how limited his filmography is as an actor, where he only has like bit roles at best. And also in his personal life, where he and his wife have a complete lack of trust due to his lack of control in his career as well as with other people, let's put it that way. And Denis Villeneuve is one of my favorite directors working today by far, and I think it's because of how visual and how Hitchcockian his directing style is. Many of the scenes, like Hitchcock, do go without dialogue in a show-don't-tell sort of fashion, and his use of darkness just looks so cool. Whenever a scene starts pitch black, and an actor either like comes out of the dark or they open a door to reveal themselves, it's such a stylish and very striking visual, and I love it whenever Villeneuve does that in any of his movies. And there are a lot of Hitchcockian homages to other movies, such as a Vertigo poster in the background. The main female leads are both blonde women, and because of the whole doppelganger storyline, there's a lot of mistaken identity, a lot of average people being thrown into dangerous situations, and a lot of times where you can't really trust Gyllenhaal as a character. The use of wide shots is very effective at portraying the emotional distance between a character and their loved one, or during a close-up that can display how confused the actors are feeling. And the lack of dialogue, combined with Danielle Bensi and Sonder Jurians, if I pronounced that wrong, I probably did, I apologize. But their score and the lack of dialogue makes each scene feel very tense and very drawn out, and when the silence builds up to a character saying just about anything, the build-up that was made before makes each line actually feel a lot more important. Now, there is a lot of symbolic imagery throughout the movie, and as many reviewers have already mentioned, a lot of it centers around using spiders and keys as like visual motifs, or when one Gyllenhaal will be dressed in all white and another will be in all black. But one thing that I don't see or read a lot of reviewers saying are that there are some subtle parallels to dictatorship. There's a scene in which Adam talks about, in a lecture for his class, about dictators and what they do to achieve their power. And these scenarios sound very similar to the actions of the characters. Because on one hand, in Anthony and Adam's personal lives, their loved ones, their romantic partners, hold all the power, and either Adam won't be functional enough in the bedroom or Anthony is too attached to other women, and as a result, their partners hold all the power because it's them that they have to satisfy. But at the same time, since Adam and Anthony could switch lives whenever they want and they'd be complete strangers to everyone else, Anthony could pretty much have more relations with any other women and not get recognized and not get any disciplinary action as a result. And Adam can enjoy the company of a sole woman who doesn't really know him, but at the same time, she doesn't hold any previous bias against him. And either way, they'd both be using other people in a totalitarian fashion for their own needs, which is very clever and actually pretty ironic. There are two minor problems that I have with the movie. For one, there's this scene involving Adam having a conversation with his mother about the fact that, yeah, he has a doppelganger. And without giving anything away, the scene feels like pointless exposition, and I felt like it could have been cut from the movie because it doesn't say anything more than we already know. And the other problem is that Villeneuve does this one thing where he cuts back and forth from pitch black to what is going on in the real world in order to make the audience feel as confused as the characters. And I don't really feel like he needed that kind of stylistic trait. But overall, Enemy's very tense atmosphere, clever symbolism, and Jake Gyllenhaal's two great performances make for a really great movie to watch. And for that reason, I'm going to give Enemy a 4.5 out of 5. Guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at noperfectmovie.com. And on Twitter, I'm going to be posting a couple of other polls on some of my other favorite movies that I'd like to review. And if you'd like to see what they are, feel free to check them out. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care.